Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Post-mortems begin for murdered Clarendon family. Student violence, a major concern for Education Ministry. And later in sports, Jamaica hunts Under-20 World Cup qualification as they face the Dominican Republic in quarterfinals at CONCACAF Championship today. I'm Shane Masters. Here are the details. Post-mortems have started on the bodies of 31-year-old Kamisha Wright and her 4 children who were killed in Cocoa Peace, Clarendon last week. The process is being carried out in Spanish Town, St. Catherine. Yesterday, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions filed a notice of death penalty in the Supreme Court for the sentencing of Roshane Barnett, who has been charged for killing the family of 5. Since then, there have been mixed views from attorneys and human rights advocacy group, Jamaicans for Justice. Speaking on the morning agenda on Power 106, attorney Clyde Williams says the Office of the DPP's intention to seek the death penalty in this case is valid.
That information available to her. But it seems to me that there must have been some amount of trauma inflicted on those that were yet alive when the first death took place. And remember, the deaths are taking place on what we understand now with a knife. So I believe that in the circumstances of crimes in Jamaica, and I want to be very clear about this, I don't believe the death penalty is a deterrent. I'm not discussing the questions of deterrence. That's not what I'm discussing. I'm discussing the state of the law and the DPP's request for the death penalty, as she is under law obliged to do if she's going to seek.
Violent disputes between students continue to be a concern. It's why 2 government ministries have turned their attention to students' interaction and response to violence as a way of addressing the issue. Codian Barrett reports.
The government is on a drive to reduce the rampant acts of crime and violence plaguing schools. This as since the resumption of face-to-face classes, there has been an increase in violence among students. There have been several stabbing incidents and at least 1 death. 16-year-old William Knibb High School student Kamal Hall was stabbed to death in March over a guard ring. Speaking at a restorative justice forum at the St. Elizabeth Technical High School recently, Justice Minister Delroy Chuck said it's time for lawlessness in the island to be exposed.
This Jamaica can be a better place if all of us really stand up and ensure that what is right is pursued. Each of us take on that responsibility and stop saying it's government fault, it's police fault, it's somebody else's fault. All of us must bear responsibility for what is going wrong in this country and discuss amongst ourselves how best we can do it.
As for the students in attendance, he implored them to report any form of violence they are witnesses to.
When you see wrongdoing in the homes, in the schools or wherever, condemn it. You know when there's wrongdoing. And if you know of wrongdoing and you don't want to tell the police, tell the guidance counselor, tell the headmaster or headmistress of things you see going on in your homes or in your neighborhood. Because children, the future belongs to you. And if Jamaica, it doesn't become a harmonious place, it won't be satisfactory for you to live here.
In the meantime, Education Minister Favour Williams has urged students to desist from egging on their colleagues to fight. She says too often she has seen videos where instead of students separating fights, they are cheering on the individuals, hence the appeal.
When you see these situations happening, when you see 2 girls quarreling or 2 boys, don't egg them on. Don't tell them to box the boy or box the girl. Don't say, encourage them not to.
Codian Barrett, TVJ News.
The parliamentary opposition is pushing for details on the financing of Foreign Affairs Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith's failed campaign for Commonwealth Secretary General, including information on whether foreign entities helped to fund it. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is to answer questions tabled yesterday in the House of Representatives by opposition Member of Parliament Julian Robinson within 21 days. Mr. Robinson has asked for the total cost for the campaign, airfare, accommodation, marketing and communication. Mr. Holness is also to answer whether the firm Finn Partners provided public relations, media relations and thought leadership services for Jamaica's candidature, and if so, who engaged the firm, for what period and at what cost. Mr. Holness has been asked to state the source of funds for payments to the firm. He will also have to say if financial or other support was received from any other government or non-Jamaican entity in connection with Jamaica's candidacy. In addition, the Prime Minister has been asked to provide details on the cost for all persons who travel to Rwanda for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting and how those costs were covered. The People's National Party, PNP, continues to put up a united front as it prepares for a local government election. Party members insist old divides have now been mended. Sandy Williams reports.
All of us can work together because we're building back this great party known as the People's National Party.
Member of Parliament for Western St. Mary, Dr. Maurice Guy, at a PNP meeting on the weekend. The PNP has been doing all it can to mend divisions among top-tier members for quite some time. The issues vary, but much of it surrounds challenges for the leadership of the party. Since then, questions about the PNP's ability to defeat the Andrew Holness-led administration in a local government or general election. But the PNP says it's now at a rebuilding stage.
We need to ensure that every disaffected, every vexatious PNP is brought back on board. We need to mend the fences. A time we get united, comrades, because as was said earlier, a united PNP is hard to defeat.
Lisa Hanna, who challenged Mark Golding for presidency in 2020, stressed the importance of unity in the PNP as she threw her support behind the current party leader.
We have work to do. I support Mark Golding. I said from last year, I don't believe in challenging a sitting leader. I never have, and I'm not challenging any sitting leader. I am here to work for my party.
Just recently, PNP leader Mark Golding said a sense of unity was returning to the party as it prepares to contest the upcoming local government elections.
So don't watch all the different things, because right now people are tired of hearing other people bash other people. Right now, them have enough problem in them life for listen to somebody else bashing somebody else. So let's figure out how we're going to uplift our own selves.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News.
And it's time for a break here on the Midday News. Stay with us much more when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Farmers in Phillipsfield, St. Thomas are calling for the government to intervene after thousands of pounds of crops dried up in the fields due to a water shortage. They are pointing fingers at the National Irrigation Commission for what they described as the slow pace with which they responded to the leak in the area. But as Kalisha Williams reports, the NIC said that is not the case.
Lush farmlands now like a parched desert. Farmers in Phillipsfield, St. Thomas say it's been 3 weeks since they had water for irrigation. The result, crops drying up and some rotting in the fields.
It's a one I farmer feel. See what like the dead out without water. So much in there. See another one water. Hope the whole up so. Nobody no get no water. Everything are dead.
Look on the man cabbage. Every one of the cabbage them are dry up. Because the sun hot on them.
The National Irrigation Commission, NIC, supplies water to these farms. But residents told us that the main pipe that is 6 feet below this hole is leaking. We were also told that the company has not been responding to calls from the farmers, which is why they now want compensation.
We can't suffer the losses through national irrigation and then I pay back with them. We need the government to come look about the talk to the people who respond to it.
When TVJ News contacted the National Irrigation Commission, we were told that the pipe has been fixed and the farmers will get water tomorrow. The company said it got a report about the leak on June 22. However, it had challenges in procuring an equipment to fix the broken pipe. It stressed that the company supplies water to the farmers twice per week, which means they would have only been without 1 week's supply. We were also told that while the crops could have wilted over the past few days, the absence of water from the NIC would not be enough to cause extensive damage to an entire field. Kalisha Williams, TVJ News.
Culture and Entertainment Minister Olivia Babsy-Grange is calling for a change in the consumption rate of alcohol locally. According to the National Council on Drug Abuse, NCDA, alcohol continues to be the most widely used drug in the island. The council notes that approximately 40% of the population, that's 4 in 10 people, report that they use alcohol. Hence, Minister Grange says there must be a change.
While we're unable to ban alcohol, we can change our relationship with it. PAHO says that fewer people are drinking now, but those who are drinking, they are drinking more. It's good for the manufacturer. It's good for the entities that produce alcohol, but it is commendable when an entity recognizes what the dangers are.
According to a survey done by the Northern Caribbean University last year, there was an increase in alcohol consumption during the heights of the COVID-19 pandemic. Lead researcher Paul Bourne says there was a 50% increase in consumption. 92% of the respondents in the survey said that they were drinking due to stress. And it's now time for the Business Minute.
In the world of business, ice cream maker Caribbean Cream Limited, which trades as Creamy, for the first time slipped into the red for its financial year ended February 2022. It recorded net losses of $9.2 million. The company's CEO, Christopher Clark, says the losses are linked to supply chain uncertainties, rapidly increasing commodity prices, and inflation. Airbnb will permanently ban parties at homes listed on the site for short-term rentals. The number of parties at Airbnb locations increased during the pandemic as people moved gatherings from bars and clubs to rented homes. That led to a temporary ban in 2020. Airbnb has since seen a 44% year-over-year decline in the rate of party reports, which it attributes to the policy change. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's health report.
In this evening's health report, we look at douching.
I believe it's very common. I don't have the figures, but in talking to persons and other physicians, we realize that it's something that's commonly held practice. I do notice, however, in recent times that women are more aware. So in talking to many persons, and I ask them about douching when they present with a discharge, more and more persons are now saying that they realize that it's harmful, or they've read where it's harmful or heard where it's harmful. So I do find that it's still fairly common, but I believe more women now are realizing that it's not necessary and can be harmful.
That's the health report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. Douching increases your risk of getting STIs, including HIV. Douching does not protect against pregnancy. Also, speak to your healthcare provider before you consider douching.
Time now for the latest developments overseas with Sandy Williams.
In regional news, President of Guyana, Irfan Ali, on Tuesday insisted that the protest by residents over the alleged release of a police officer linked to the murder of a young man is not all about justice, but that a man has threatened his life. President Ali, in an earlier broadcast, had urged residents on the East Coast Demerara to allow the Police Complaints Authority to do its work, as the Guyana Police Force denied reports that a policeman who allegedly shot and killed a resident several days ago had been released. Ali told the nation that he had also been informed that a second police officer is now in custody, assisting investigators with the probe. He maintained that the 2 police officers are still in custody and that the probe is ongoing. Therefore, he sees no basis for the protests. On the international scene, Jeffrey Epstein's former associate will spend time behind bars for her role in sex trafficking minors. Tuesday, Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in prison following her conviction last year. She was found guilty of carrying out a years-long scheme with Epstein to sexually abuse underage girls. Epstein was indicted on federal sex trafficking charges in 2019 but committed suicide in prison. On Tuesday, the judge said Maxwell was not punished in place of Epstein, but for her part in the crimes. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Sandy Williams.
And we head to a quick break. When we come back, Renardo Brown will have your midday sports report.
Welcome back. It's now time for your midday sports. History could be created tonight in Honduras as Jamaica take on the Dominican Republic in their quarterfinal contest at the CONCACAF Under-20 Championship with a spot in the 2023 World Cup up for grabs. The Jamaicans should be full of confidence heading into the game following their 2-1 win over Haiti in the round of 16 on Sunday. The young reggae boys can also take heart from the fact that Dom Rep needed 2 last-minute goals against St. Lucia to draw 2-2 and book a spot in the knockout round. Dom Rep, though, showed resilience in their game against El Salvador on Sunday, coming back twice from second-half deficits to win 5-4. But head coach Marcel Gale says the team is well-equipped to overcome the Dom Rep challenge. Now the game is set to kick off at 6 p.m. Jamaica time. A win would give the Jamaicans just their second Under-20 World Cup appearance and their first since 2001. Harbourview and Dunbeholden FC will look to close out their semi-final ties against Waterhouse and Cavalier respectively as the semi-final second leg playoff in the Jamaica Premier League take center stage at Sabina Park later today. Now, on Sunday, Harbourview got the better of Waterhouse by 1-0, while it was the same result for Dunbeholden in their game against Cavalier. Assistant coach of Harbourview, Sean Fraser, speaking ahead of today's contest, says he is well aware of what Waterhouse will do in their return leg later today. Meanwhile, assistant coach of Waterhouse, Daniel Bent, believes his team has a quality to turn around the result from Sunday's game.
Just have to do our work, continue to remain disciplined, remain humble first and foremost because God is good and He put us in this position and we have to be thankful for it.
Yeah, Waterhouse is a quality team all year round. So we're looking forward to on Wednesday to come back and try to see if we can go forward to the finals again.
Now that game is set to kick off at 5 p.m. Meanwhile, both Cavalier and Dunbeholden FC are promising attacking football as they meet in their second leg at Decide at 7:30. Peter McGregor's 20th minute strike was enough to give Dunbeholden the advantage heading into today's contest. Technical director at Cavalier, Rudolph Speed, is promising to play on the front foot, while Dunbeholden coach Harold Thomas says his team will be looking to increase their advantage.
They just have to defend, we have to attack. So it is very simple. We know that we have to get back one goal to get in the game. So we look at one first. We're not going to try and look 2 or 3 at the same time. We're just going to look one at a time and see what happens.
The approach should be to win. So we play an attacking game. We are never a defensive team. Even when we're down, we're trying to create, counter-attacking moments. So we'll continue to do that. We'll never think of defensive football,
Now to cricket, Jamaica Nadine Smith, along with Seema's Abed McCoy and Jaden Seals, have been awarded Maiden West Indies Central contracts for the July 1, 2022 to June 2023 period. Recently appointed T20 vice captain Jamaican Rovman Powell has returned to the contracted list, along with batsman Brandon King and bowling all-rounder Romario Shepherd. The other players for the period are Jamaicans Jermaine Blackwood and Nkrumah Bonner, along with Test captain Craig Brathwaite, Joshua Da Silva, Jason Holder, Shea Hope, Akil Hussain, Alzar Joseph, Kyle Mears, Nicholas Perran, Kimar Roach, and Hayden Walsh Jr. Meanwhile, Rashada Williams joins former captain Stephanie Taylor, Chedi Nation, and Chanel Henry as the Jamaican women cricketers that are contracted by CWI. 18 women have been awarded contracts, with Williams being one of 6 developmental players. And that's it for your Lunchtime Sports Report. It's back to you, Shane.
Thanks, Renato. And that's it for the Midday News. I'm Shane Masters. Join us again at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.